Welcome back into the Clay Edwards Show here live on 103.9 FM WYAB with Sean Yerkeron here in the studio. Guys, we have a great interview coming up for you, but first, real quick, this segment is going to be brought to you by Lakeland Glass and Tint for all of your automotive, home, car, and auto window tinting needs, windshield and automotive glass replacement needs, ceramic coating, paint protection film, vehicle wraps. They got it all at Lakeland Glass and Tint, located right there on Lakeland Drive, of course. That's where you get your automotive windshields and stuff replaced. And then over on Flowwood Drive, the big campus there, they handle all your window tinting, ceramic coating, paint protection, and vehicle wraps. They can do it all. LakelandGlassandTint.com for a quote today, where quality matters. All right, on the Mazda of Jackson phone line here, we got co-chair of the Missouri chapter of Gays Against Groomers, Chris Barrett, on the phone. Chris, good morning, brother.
Good morning, Clay. Oh, my God, it's so awesome to be talking to people in Jackson, Mississippi today.
Well, it's awesome to be talking to somebody in Missouri. So, I've never been that far north. Yeah, well, and I need to get down to you guys because I've wanted to do some Gulf Shores stuff, before, but I just haven't gotten a chance to do it yet. Well, Chris, as I mentioned when we were on the phone the other day, I have my partner in crime here, Sean Yerkeron, is in here. Sean is a former assistant DA here in town, a 10-year assistant DA here in Hinds County. He's a active criminal defense attorney, and he leans a little more to the left, so he's going to probably push back with some of our thinking today, but I think we're going to have a great conversation and looking forward to it. Tell people a little bit about yourself. How did you get into Gays Against Groomers? And I guess first I should tell people, you know it's a great organization when the ADL considers them a terrorist group. Anytime those guys are against you, the Southern Poverty Law Center, anytime they're against you, anytime the ACLU is against you, I automatically know you're good folks. So
yeah, they don't tend to like us very much. I'll tell you what. The funny thing is we are an organization predominantly gay and lesbians. There's bisexuals as well, and even a few trans people as well who support us. I got into it because I was just going on social media doing my normal tech stuff. I'm kind of a tech nerd. And I was just posting about that stuff, and then for whatever reason, the algorithm on Twitter at the time, now it's, of course, X, but Twitter at the time, pushed all this gay stuff to my forefront. I'm not even sure how they even knew that I was gay because I never even said anything about it. And anyway, so I was noticing there were all these gay guys complaining about these so-called trans men popping up in gay dating apps. And I was like, well, a trans man, that's actually a woman. So they're expecting to be with gay men? And I just thought that was kind of crazy. And then, I started kind of looking into it because of that, because it really caught me off guard. I wasn't aware of where all of this transgender stuff had gone. And so I started looking into it, and I came across the drag queen story hours, the drag shows for kids, the pride events for kids, and I was like, oh, hell no. No, that's not okay. It's like, okay, you're overstepping a boundary into an adult's life by going into a dating app that you really shouldn't be in. But now you're actually targeting kids. That's when I lost it. And I was like, I've got to do something about it. And the great thing is Jamie Michelle, the founder of Gays Against Groomers, she and I started talking back and forth. Somebody else within the organization started talking to me and brought me on as the Missouri chapter leader. Now I'm a co-chapter leader because we do have another leader within Missouri. But yeah, I was, once it got to the kids, I was like, no, sorry, can't handle this anymore. This is too much.
Well, that's been the line in the sand for so many of us. And I talk about this a lot on my show, and as a straight white conservative, I catch a lot of flack for talking against it. But I always try to clarify, say, man, there's a big group of just good, normal gay people out there that are catching a lot of arrows and knives and bullets, figuratively, over this whole thing. But you guys are our legitimate allies in the proper use of the term. And that's why I wanted to have you on, because I wanted people to hear, down here in the South, man, we can be a little backwards at times and a little slow to coming around to stuff, and kind of bad about throwing the baby out with the bathwater, so to say. So I thought it was really, really important to get you on and just to let people know, let my listeners know that, man, there's a whole nother side of this that the media doesn't want you to see. That's why they waged war on the social media platforms against Gays for Groomers, is they don't want people to know that there is an alternative voice in the LGBTQ sphere out there other than hard left, hard line, trans over everything, got to indoctrinate the kids.
Right. And, that actually brings up a good point, because you were talking about like the hard left and stuff like that. I mean, a lot of people within Gays Against Groomers are actually left-leaning people. I myself personally, I would consider myself more of a centrist, not necessarily right-leaning or left-leaning. I'll just vote for whoever makes sense. And anyway, it's kind of interesting when you listen to the media talk about these topics. One thing that I always notice, like, I'll listen to several different podcasts, and I do listen to some left-leaning podcasts, just kind of see, what's going on their side. I'll listen to right-leaning podcasts and see what's going on their side. But the funny thing is, on the left-leaning podcasts that I listen to, they'll talk about all this transgender craziness and all that type of stuff, but and they'll always reference, the straight white male, just like you were talking about, who's against it, or the straight white female, or but the other thing is the straight black female or the straight black male who's against it. It really doesn't matter. They'll mention all of that type of stuff, but they'll never mention us. And the reason I think that they won't mention us is because we are kind of like a fly in their ointment. It's like, shoot, we've got a group of gay people who don't agree with us, and they don't know what to do with us. They don't know what to make of us. I mean, I've been called a homophobe, a bigot, a transphobe, all that type of stuff. And but the homophobe thing always like makes me laugh, because my husband would find that very hilarious.
Yeah, it's a strange thing. And here's my thing: is this isn't. I don't want to get into the complete breakdown of all this of all the trans stuff, because it'll just make my head explode. But at the end of the day, I don't think this is a gay situation. This is a sick individual this is a pedophile situation being disguised. I mean, it truly is the Trojan horse scenario. You're using the LGBTQ as the Trojan horse, and you're loading it up with a bunch of pedophiles and trying to sneak in and get the children. That's how I see this. And I think that they've hijacked a cause that a lot of people put a lot of work in. I'm 46 years old, so I remember growing up here in the South in the 80s and 90s when it wasn't nearly as trendy to be openly gay. I legitimately felt sorry for my gay friends and stuff, and all the work that was put in, and hard work, and all the things that had to happen for them to be as comfortable being out now as they are. To see their cause get hijacked by a bunch of nut jobs it's really disheartening.
Yeah, it really is for a lot of us, especially those of us in Gays Against Groomers. I mean, we definitely feel that way, because it's like we worked toward a goal, we achieved that goal, as far as like marriage and especially, I would say, protections in the workplace, because up until recently it was perfectly legal to fire someone for being gay. If an employer found it out and they didn't like it, they could fire you for it, and it was perfectly legal. But that isn't the case anymore.
That is wild. That is wild to me, considering how far we've come. Even here in Mississippi, I'd never even heard of that happening before. I'm sure it has. Don't get me wrong, but just when you hear somebody say it out loud, it's like, wow, man, we really have come a long way.
Oh, we definitely have, and that's actually kind of my point. It's like, we've come a long way, and we've made all of these strides, and I'd say the vast majority of gay people probably were willing to just pack up their bags and go home and just be done with it. It's like, okay, we got what we wanted, we're done. But, still we see things like Pride Month continuing on and that sort of thing. And it's kind of like, if I am a definite defender of the First Amendment. So, if people want to get together and do their Pride celebrations, that's their business. Fine. You go right ahead and do it. But the vast majority of gay people, I'm not sure why we would even participate in it.
Well, I don't understand why it has to be so overtly sexual. Guys walking down the streets with leather bondage and thongs on, knowing there's kids on the side of the street.
Exactly. But seriously, Clay, the thing is, it's like we were willing to pack it up and go home. These people that are participating in it now aren't interested in any sort of, at least in my opinion, aren't interested in any sort of, gay liberation or anything like that, which is what we were originally fighting for. They're more interested in pushing sexual fetishes and ideology and stuff like that, and that's where the stuff with kids becomes a huge problem, and that is like a main concern of Gays Against Groomers. It's like these people, Gays Against Groomers, these people, pushing ideologies onto kids. It's like, it's fine if you want to be gay and all that type of stuff, but, do you really need to include kids into your Pride events? I mean, if it was like truly a family-friendly event where it was maybe a picnic or something like that, fine, but that's not what they're doing.
No, Chris, we got to take a break real quick. Can you hang on a second and do another segment with us?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Cool. Hang tight. We got Chris Barrett, co-chair of the Missouri chapter of Gays Against Groomers, on the line with us. You got Sean Yerkeron, Clay Edwards here in the studio. We're going to let Sean talk when we come back here on the other side of the break. This is the Clay Edwards Show. We'll be right back. Welcome back into the Clay Edwards Show here live on WYAB. Guys, get over to Johnny's Pizza House today, right there in Gluckstadt, Mississippi, across the street from Germantown High School, or right kind of catty corner from Germantown High School, little strip mall there right in front of the Mack Hike dealerships. They got pizza lunches, a single topping 8-inch pizza starting as low as $6.99, or grab one of their quarter muffalettas. Man, I love a good muffaletta. Starting at only $5.99. Johnny's Pizza House is a slice rooted in the heart of Louisiana. Get over there and try some great pizza today. Available for dine-in, delivery, and carry-out. Johnny's Pizza House. All right, man, let's go back to the Mazda Jackson phone line here. We got Chris Barrett, co-chair the Missouri chapter of Gays Against Groomers. Chris, thank you for staying on hold, brother.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And you're making me hungry. That pizza sounds great right now for some reason.
Man, look, I definitely didn't drag you up to this early in the morning to get on the phone to talk about my diet, but I've been on a pretty strict keto diet for the since about mid-April, and I haven't had any real pizza. I've had some cauliflower crust pizza, which, don't get me wrong, after nothing but meat, it tastes just as good as any other pizza, but I haven't had just any real bread or pizza in about 2 months, and pizza is my favorite. It's like 1A, steak being 1B, pasta being kind of 1C. Favorite foods. And so I've been doing these. I got 2 pizza sponsors here, and doing these live reads and talking about pizza is like killing me in the morning times. Like, I want pizza now. So
I got it, man. I got it.
Well, so look, man, let's talk a little bit about, and I think this is where my buddy Sean here has got a little pushback in our conversations. Let's talk about the books in school libraries and whatnot, and kind of and we have a good friend of ours, Lindsay Beckham. She's with Moms for Liberty. She was actually kind of telling us about Jamie last night and trying to get us up to speed a little bit. And I guess Jamie, y'all's founder, spoke at Moms for Liberty conference, and obviously that's something that they're really big about, is getting these books out of school libraries. It's been a big fight here in Mississippi, and you would think that as right-leaning as we're supposed to be, we're actually a purple state. We're a super red state, but Real Clear Politics has us as a purple state, so it kind of tells you what's going on around here. But we did ban gender-affirming care, using their language, their words, not mine. We did ban that for minors, so kudos to them there. But, man, they have not been able to get this school book issue. I just don't see the point in allowing underage children. Frankly, there's no reason you should be reading about any type of sex outside of sexual education classes in school before you're 18, really, till you get out of high school. I just don't see the point in it.
Yeah, it's kind of it's an interesting thing. I mean, there is maybe a little bit of gray area in some of this, but there are some books that I think surpass the gray area. I'm thinking of Not All Boys Are Blue, Genderqueer. Those are some books that come to mind.
Yeah.
They are obviously pushing the gender ideology onto kids. I mean, when I was a teenager and realized that I was gay, when I went to the library to actually check out some books about homosexuality, the ones that they had were like, there was the book by Greg Louganis, the Olympian diver.
Yeah, didn't they had a song about him on South Park.
Right. There was that. And then most of the other books were basically just about coming out. Well, as a young gay person, that's actually all I was interested in. It's like, how do I tell other people about this? I didn't need, explicit sexual examples of gay sex, heterosexual sex for that matter. I didn't need any of that stuff. As humans, we kind of figure out how to do that on our own. We don't really need a lot of lead.
I think everybody needs that awkward experience of figuring that out. Sean, you got something?
Hey, Chris, I got this. Sean, I got a question for you. And I was.
Yeah, Sean.
Hey,
Sean.
man. And Clay brought up Lindsay Beckham with Moms for Liberty, and her and I had this discussion about the books issue, where I think I probably agree with you all on the porn or any sex in books in schools. The one disagreement I had with her, though, was I think if there's a book, and I'm going to see how you feel about this. If there's a book that says, I have a mom and a dad, right? Shows a family. The kids see those books. That's not sexual. You know what I mean? It's books that kids see. But I think if there's another book that says, here's me and my 2 dads, or here's me and my 2 moms, right? That's non-sexual. I think that's appropriate as well, because American life is complicated now. It's perfectly fine to have 2 dads or 2 moms or 1 mom or 1 dad. And she was disagreeing with me on that, saying that that's still, showing that a different lifestyle, which
normalizing a different lifestyle.
Yeah, normalizing a different lifestyle, which that's my disagreement with it. I think that's fine. What are your feelings on that? I think.
Yeah, that's a really good question, Sean. Personally, I still think that it needs to be kind of age appropriate. The vast majority of people are going to, or the vast majority of kids are going to be the product of heterosexual relationships and that sort of thing. I guess maybe the only reason I have a little bit of hesitancy and kind of want to see it maybe held off just a little bit is because right now we're seeing people take things to the nth degree. You know, it's like, it's not good enough just to show that, you know, little Julie may have 2 mommies or 2 daddies. Now we need to get into all this other stuff. Now, I will say that on a personal note, this is not necessarily the opinion of Gays Against Groomers. On a personal note, I would disagree with that person from Moms for Liberty. I mean, just simply bringing that up, I don't think is necessarily the end of the world, but I would like to see it held off to a little bit later time. I think Florida kind of did a really good job with this because I think that they were talking like 3rd grade or something. Mm-hmm. And it's like, you know, so I don't think that we really necessarily need to be sitting here talking about family structures and sexuality and all that type of stuff when someone's in kindergarten. Yeah, you know, but maybe we can start introducing some aspects of that when a kid is a little bit later on in school.
Right.
And then, of course, you know, let it all out when they're maybe in high school or something, but it still doesn't need to be overtly sexual like some of these books that I was talking about.
Well, you know, like this is just my opinion on it. And look, I don't have a problem with gay people adopting children or people who bring children from a straight relationship into their gay relationship. I'm sure that happens a lot, you know, as people come out later in life and stuff of that nature. And I have no problem with the children reading those books, but I think that should probably be something that's presented in the home as reading material more so than the school library. You know, just like I feel like there's just sacrifices and there's sacrifices you have to make when you do choose alternative lifestyles, no matter what it is, gay, straight, or otherwise. Like trans, for example, I think when you decide to be trans, that's great if you want to live your true life. But I don't think you should be able to play sports of the sex you pretend to be. You know, that's a sacrifice you make. Just like if you decide to have children in a same-sex marriage, I think there's just certain sacrifices you have to make, like understanding that the construct of the world is geared towards heterosexual parenting is the norm. So you're just you'll learn along the way, and I'm sure you know this. Obviously, I'm not really talking to you, but I guess people will learn along the way that, you know, you've got to fit it in where you can and kind of get in where you fit in and understand that the world shouldn't have to remold itself to fit an alternative lifestyle. You know, you just kind of have to work within the construct.
Yeah, of that. And I guess that's kind of where I come at it from. It's like, you know, I mean, if you want to talk about different types of families and stuff like that, I mean, start with the basics. You know, if you're going to do it early on, start with the basics, which is, you know, the stuff that most humans can relate to. And then if you want to talk about the other stuff, I mean, just do it at, I don't know, whatever we will decide as a society is age appropriate. And that may vary state by state, you know. But right now, as it is, you know, I mean, we're getting people talking about all of this type of stuff as early as kindergarten. Well, that seems to be kind of ridiculous to me. Yep. You know, the vast majority of kindergartners are not going to even understand sexuality, whether it's straight or gay. It makes no difference. Yep. You know, so I don't understand why we even need to be discussing that. I mean, we can just discuss a family, you know, that sort of thing. You know, a mom, dad, brothers, sisters, whatever. And I think the average kid is going to understand, even if they come from a same-sex couple as their parents, will understand that that's, you know, just generally the norm.
Well, yeah, because they're gonna learn in the house the roles that each person plays. I don't think the school has to teach them. If you come from a home with 2 moms or 2 dads or a mom and a dad, you learn the roles as you grow up because it's all you know. So it's not weird to you, you know. Mm-hmm. I mean, I guess that's depending on the age at which it happened. But Chris, look, I could keep you for a whole nother hour, brother. We're bumping up against the break here. I really appreciate you coming on this morning. Sean, thank you. Chris, I would love to get you back on, man, where we can just really run this thing for like 2 hours one day, and because I could talk about this stuff all day. I think it's a nice break from our normal stuff. But brother, thank you so much for joining us. And how can people find you if they want to follow online?
Yeah. So if you want to follow me personally, here's my joke tag on Twitter. It's Midwest Homo 77. So again, Midwest Homo 77. You can follow me there. But what I would really encourage, because we don't have a chapter in Mississippi, at least a chapter leader, what I would definitely encourage anyone listening who might be interested, who is gay, lesbian, bisexual, go to gaysagainstgroomers.com/join, and maybe we can get you on as a chapter leader or something if you're interested in doing that in Mississippi. So that would be great.
Chris, thank you so much, brother. I will regurgitate that information before we get off here, because I think it'd be great to have a chapter president here in Mississippi. Appreciate you, man.
Yeah, take care, Clay. Take care, Sean.
Thanks.
Thank you. We'll be right back.